I'm making a canopy top for a doll's bed. I bought this piece of poplar. It's 3 feet long and approximately 3 inches wide. And I got 4 3-foot long square dowels for the bed posts. It's a 4-poster bed. Cut 1/4 inch wide, long and short. This is for the sides. This is for the headboard and the footboard. And then I had some leftover strips, and I think I'm going to need those strips to put a top in the bed. I have this piece left over. I have the actual bed. I'm doing this as a job for somebody else, somebody who has the bed. She gave me the measurements of the bed. I made a template of the size of the bed, and the idea is I'm going to carve out a little section out of the lower section, and the posts will sort of go around the bed, so the bed will sit right inside here just a little bit. And so I have to cut this out, and so I made these little corners. This is where each post will sit. That way it can fit right around the bed, so she can set it all up, put all the mattresses on, because this is for the Princess and the Pea, and she could just set the whole canopy right down over the top of the bed, and it should work. If she gave me the correct measurements, it should work. I needed to make that template so that I could make sure that these boards are going to fit the correct size. So this is going to be the top frame of the canopy, which the drapery will be attached to. And then the 4 posts will stand inside of the 4 corners. So looking at it upside down, but you get the idea. And this will give me a place to attach the drapery that will go on it. Carve out the wood. I'm going to be using my Dremel tool. This is a great tool when doing small woodworking project. You can sand, cut, carve, model, a lot of things you can do with this device. I stained the wood at first with colonial maple, but it seemed too light, so I went over it with golden oak, and it's still tacky. It's been 2 days and it hasn't completely dried, because I think my stain is old and it broke down. Yeah. Yeah, when it gets like this, it's no good. It's time to toss it. So what I'm learning from experience, don't buy the larger cans because they inevitably break down. Paint, the same thing, unless you're going to use up a lot. It's better to buy the smaller cans. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to strip this down, strip all the color, the stain off, because it's not drying and I'm just not happy with it at all. And then I will have to restain it. To strip it, I'm going to use paint thinner, and I hope that works. Okay, well, it took off the first layer, the sticky layer. I'll let that sit and dry, and after it's thoroughly dry, then I will come back and restain the wood. Working with harsh chemicals, I make sure that I have my windows open so that I have good ventilation. Yes, I'm much happier with the stain and its color. So I just need to let it dry. I've temporarily clamped the sides together, and I have a cardboard, which is the size of the bed, just kind of taped on the four legs to help make sure that I put the legs on straight. Now I know the camera angle makes it look like they're flayed out, but actually they're quite straight. They're very straight. It's all squared up. I want it to be square before I do the next part of attaching this side piece on. I will be adding a top to the canopy. So I need to add a little shelf to set the board on top. It will sit on the very top. It will keep the top of it flush. I'm using the leftover strips to make the shelf all the way around the canopy bed. This strip is the full width of the end of the bed frame, but I need it to fit between the bedposts. I use my miter hand saw to cut the length that I need. The hand miter saw is another must-have tool for doing small woodworking projects, such as dollhouse furniture or doll furniture. I will be using a piece of foam core for the very top. The skirting is going to be white, so a white piece of foam core work well with the white color scheme that I'm planning. I trace around the inside of the frame because this will sit inside the frame. After cutting out my board, I had to cut a small square off of each corner to fit around the bedposts. I use my craft cutting mat so I don't cut into my tabletop. Another crafter's tool that's needed. This is going to sit on the inside, but I will be placing it on the top side. Right now everything's upside down. A quick fit. Fits perfectly. Now I need a spacer to set my shelf down, which will make the top flush with the top of the canopy frame. I'm using small square dowels as a spacer. Now right here, I want to make a note to the viewer. From experience, I have learned that stain does not take very well to glue spots, so always clean your glue up very quickly. So I decided to stain all the wood pieces before assembly. But then I learned that glue does not adhere very well to stained wood. It would have been best for me to leave the parts that would be glued unstained. I had to take the pieces and sand the sides so that I could get a better adherence. But I also drilled small holes with my hand drill and used toothpicks as a wooden dowel to help glue the strips in place. I could have perhaps used a little bit larger dowels, but my thinking was the wood was such a narrow strip, toothpicks should do the job. Well, if I used my hand drill, I could have done bigger dowels. For the drapery, I chose a white satin, which will be overlaid with white lace. Since she will be using so many different colors for the mattresses, I thought white would be the best color to pull it all together. I made 4 panels, 1 for each bedpost. On our long panels, we are making pleats for the top. They look like curtains. So this is going to fit on the corner, and this flattens the top. See, I got a nice flat top. We have these plates folded this direction, and the plates on this side folded that direction. So I go out about a ½ inch and come back about 1 inch so that I make all the folds, all the pleats basically the same. And we pin everything in place. And then I will do 2 rows of stitching. We will do a stitching here and then a stitching there to hold everything nice and flat. That way we've kind of gathered the panels for each corner. Well, I'm sewing to the corner and stopping because of the direction of the pleats. because these plates are folded this way, so I'm sewing this way. I will turn it around to do the other side, go in the opposite direction. But for now, I'll just do this one side. Whoops, my thread came out. Oh, that always happens. Okay. Do the top row of stitching. And I can remove the pins from the top. This one side. So you can see that's 2 rows of stitching, nice and flat. I'm going to turn around to do the other side because I have to go the opposite direction. Start making our pleats. I'm going to fold my fabric in half to find the center. Mark the center with a pin. So now that I know where my center is, I want to go out 1 inch and bring it back the same distance. I'll pin that down. Do the same thing but the opposite way on the other side. Go out about 1 inch and then fold it back the same distance. So this marks the center, which is going to be the corner. So this is folded that way and this side is folded that way. And now to make our pleats, we go out about 1/2 inch and then come in about 1 inch and pin it. I'll just keep repeating, out 1/2 inch and about 1 inch. Oh, let me readjust that. That'll keep our pleats about evenly spaced. Out 1/2 inch and about 1 inch. So I'll get 3 or 4 pleats on each side. We'll do that to the other side, but just the opposite way. Out about 1/2 inch and in about 1 inch. And just like that, we have our pleats. It's going to go around the corner. Satin underneath and the lace overlay, so it's all connected, one piece to go on each corner. So I'm trying to figure out how to put this drapery on this frame. I took a double fold bias tape, and right now I have it folded up, but it's got 2 sides. It's got an inside and an outside. So I have it up currently, and I'm pinning the corner drapes to it, to this section, and then I will sew those on once I have them all pinned in place so that they'll be exactly on the corner where I want them. I will sew the other part to the top part, so it'll all be attached to this one band that goes all the way around. I'm using my big needles for this part. Try to find the corner. I'm using these paper clips to hold it so it doesn't all fall down because of the weight. Now that I've got the corners pinned on exactly where I want them to be, now I can take these off, and you're probably going to see the whole thing kind of fall down because the weight of the curtain may, see it's starting to fall down. Without something to hold it, it's all going to fall down. But it's all going to be attached. I'm replacing smaller pins for the big pins so that I can sew it on the sewing machine. I work from the side to the center because the center, I need to make sure it stays loose. See how this will come down, and I will attach the ruffle that goes all around the top to this side, which will hang over top of everything. And that way we don't have any ugly edges. Like a circle. This is all the corner drapes in the middle, and the ruffle goes all the way around. Now I just gotta sew it on. Of the first layer of the ruffle on, I think I'm going to hand sew the lace overlay. it is a lot tighter around the frame. The bias tape is stretchy, but the rest of it's not. The stitching is not stretchy. So I need to do something about reducing the bulk. I mean, it's good that it fits tight, but I need to reduce the bulk so that I can make it fit and lay right, so that it will lay properly. So I'm still trying to figure it out. But it's going to look kind of cute. This is the top band. We're looking at the inside. This is the outside. And I'm going to put the lace overlay. I'm going to sew it on by hand onto the outside edge. I used a fishing line because it is very strong to sew the drapery on the canopy frame. Glue was not going to hold the weight of this fabric. There is 1 yard of satin and 1 yard of lace on each corner. So you're talking 4 yards of satin and 4 yards of the lace. Now I know the lace isn't as heavy. The satin adds a lot of weight. I stitched around the frame, going all the way around the frame so that I know that it would hold. When I later add the lace overlay of the top ruffle, it will hide these stitches. I finished off the edges of the satin fabric to cover the top. Then I pinned it on, carefully working on opposite sides to evenly spread the cover. It's a little bit like stretching canvas on a frame. I used my long quilting pins for this task. I used an upholstery curved needle to sew the top in place. A straight needle would have been way too hard to use. Whenever it got a little tough pulling the needle through the bulk of fabric, I used my needle nose pliers. Such a handy tool. With the top sewn in place, I can add the final layer of the lace ruffle. I first finished off the top edge, then sew the strips end to end, forming a circle. Then I began pinning it in place, trying to evenly space the ruffle all the way around the canopy top. Once in place, I hand-stitched it again using a curved upholstery needle. With the shiny satin and lovely lace overlay and a silver trim, this canopy bed is fit for a princess. Isn't it lovely? The lady that I was doing this for was working on a fundraiser for breast cancer, and their theme was fairy tales. Each group chose a different fairy tale to decorate their table. I was informed that this Princess and the Pea bed won first place. I didn't know it was going to be a contest. That is not the first time that I helped someone win first place in a contest. Just one last touch, a silvery trim glued around the top. I hope you enjoyed this project. If you do, give me a thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching.